All right, today we're diving into a story that is just baffling. It's about Gaurav Tiwari, who was India's most famous paranormal investigator. This is a man who spent his entire career chasing shadows, only for his own death to become the biggest, most unsolvable mystery of all.
So, here's the question that sits at the very heart of this whole thing, right? How does a country's top ghost hunter end up dying what many believe was a paranormal death? It's a question that completely blurs the line between the world he was studying and the one he left behind.
Imagine this, July 7th, 2016. A headline drops and it sends shockwaves across the country. The man who would calmly walk into India's most terrifyingly haunted places was found dead. And not on some dangerous investigation, but in his own home, under some incredibly weird circumstances. Now, at first, the official report seemed pretty straightforward. The police came in, took a look, and their conclusion was swift: asphyxia due to hanging. The case was officially stamped as suicide. A tragic end for sure, but on paper, a simple one. But, and this is a big but, that simple story just didn't add up. Not for anyone who knew him, and especially not for his family. They were adamant that something else, something much darker, was at play. And it's right here, in this contradiction, that our mystery really kicks off.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the mystery of how he died, we've got to go back. We need to understand the man himself, because his journey was anything but ordinary.
You see, Gaurav Tiwari didn't start out chasing ghosts. His dream was actually to be a pilot. He was training in the US, had his eyes on the skies. But then, while living in Texas, something started happening in his apartment. Things he just couldn't explain. And that experience completely changed his path. It wasn't some lifelong passion. It was like a calling that found him. He got certified as a paranormal investigator and then brought that knowledge back home to start the Indian Paranormal Society. Now, here's what made him so different. This is absolutely key. Gaurav wasn't some kind of mystic or a psychic. He didn't mess around with superstitions. He approached the supernatural like a scientist, determined to find cold, hard, measurable proof. And when you looked at his team's gear, it was like something out of a tech lab, not some spooky movie. They had EMF meters for electromagnetic fields, special cameras that could see light we can't, and sensitive recorders to try and capture what's known as electronic voice phenomena. For him, it was all about collecting data. And this quote, this really sums up his whole philosophy. He was, at his core, a skeptic. His goal wasn't to prove ghosts existed, it was to find the truth, period. And if that meant proving there was nothing supernatural going on, he was more than happy to do it. He was a debunker first. So let's look at a famous case, Bangar Fort. People call it the most haunted place in India, full of legends about curses and lost souls. So what did Gaurav find? Not ghosts, but he did record these weird, unexplained spikes on his EMF meters and sudden, drastic drops in temperature. He concluded that while the fear people felt was very real, there was something anomalous happening there, even if it wasn't a spirit. Or how about the haunted stretch of the Delhi metro? The local story was this creepy woman in white who would just appear and stop cars. His team went in, investigated, and found a perfect storm of natural explanations. You had high-speed winds, weird light reflections, and car headlights creating illusions at just the right angle. Case debunked. But see, debunking was just one part of his job, and maybe not even the most important part. For Gaurav, his work wasn't really about the dead at all. It was about using the paranormal to understand the very real problems of the living. He had this incredible insight. He said that 90% of what people call hauntings aren't about spirits at all. They're about human experiences, things like trauma, grief, anxiety, you name it. He was often more like a counselor than a ghost hunter, helping people understand what was really going on. And this all came together in what people started calling the Tiwari method. It was this perfect blend of science and, well, humanity. He'd use his technology to try and explain the world, but he'd use psychology and empathy to comfort it. Both were equally vital to his work. Which brings us right back to where we started. Back to that day in July 2016. The guy who solved mysteries for everyone else left us with the biggest one of all, and it happened right inside his own home. And when you look at the scene of his death, the contradictions are just jarring. The official report says hanging, but he was found in his bathroom with no rope. There was nothing to hang from. The cause of death was clear, but how it happened seemed physically impossible. There was just this strange, thin black line on his neck, and nothing else to explain it. And then you have this absolutely chilling detail. Just a few days before he died, he told his family, "Something is stopping me." What did he mean? Was he talking about depression, a difficult case he was on, or something else entirely? We just don't know.
So where does that leave us? What's the legacy of a man who spent his life searching for answers only for his own end to become a massive question mark? Well, it's a legacy built on questions, not answers.
His impact was huge, no question about it. He completely changed how people in India talked about the paranormal. He took it out of the realm of just pure superstition and made it a topic for logical, scientific discussion. He inspired a whole new generation of investigators, and his organization, the IPS, is still carrying on his work today. And maybe this one quote says it all. It gets to the very heart of who he was and what he was trying to do. "I don't hunt the dead, I help the living." His mission was never really about spirits. It was about easing the fear and the pain of the people who believed they were being haunted. In the end, the story of Gaurav Tiwari doesn't wrap up neatly. It doesn't give us the answer. Instead, it leaves us hanging with the exact same question that drove him his entire life, a question that kind of echoes long after he's gone. Is there something out there?